Well, hello, this is Rochelle, and thank you for joining me here on the Creative Retreat YouTube channel. Today I'm going to be doing just basic stenciling with some paint, acrylic paint, and I'm using the Americana DecoArt paint range. This is a nice acrylic because it dries matte. So I prefer using this above an acrylic that dries glossy. Don't particularly like that, and it makes it easier to write over as well if you use a matte acrylic. So that being said, I'm just taking this acrylic, and at first the blue that I had was just a little bit too light for my liking and a little bit too blue, so I just added a bit of the turquoise to that to darken it up a bit. And my inspiration is from the top left corner here, top right corner, sorry, where you see that little pattern paper piece sticking out with the scallops and the blue and teal, or this teal and turquoise kind of colors sticking out. And that was my inspiration for this page because I knew I had a stencil like that lying around. So this is and I can never pronounce the name of this company, but it's a stencil that I bought here in South Africa. And it is, like I said, the same scallops, and yeah, there you go. So there's the stencil, and I'm just going to take a sponge to kind of dab the paint through the sponge. Now when you do this, you do need to dab up and down and not circle or smush or anything like that, because it will then go under the stencil and mess up your page. And in some places it did, even though I dabbed up and down. I think my hand got tired after a while, but so it did leave some marks. But I wasn't going for a perfect impression, I was just going for a workable impression. And it's obviously just for the background, not the major theme. And we laughed so much because when I posted this picture on the group, the design group, I laughed because Judy said it actually looks like the intro to The Chosen, which I really actually enjoyed. And now that I've seen that, I can't unsee it. So that's in my mind while I'm doing this voiceover. And that's, yeah, very funny. So all of this is for the project of Abundantly More, which is the faith art box for July, and it's so gorgeous. It is written by Erin Davis, and her devotional is just spot on and challenged me so much that I had to journal in this place where Jesus fed all of these people. And I love how if you look at the word and you look at the biblical times, they counted men. They didn't really count women and children. So the men counted were 5,000. If you then take into account that each person there kind of had a wife and, I don't know, two children, that would be like, 25,000 people. And considering that Jesus did that out of the very little that he could gather, or his people could gather from this crowd, 2 fishes and 5 loaves, it really does speak of an overflowing, abundantly more gracious, generous God. And that's the God we serve. For the art here, I'm just taking some trace paper, and I wanted a gold pop on this page without going onto my page directly with the embossing powder, because I just don't like that residue that it leaves. And especially if my acrylic paint is still wet, the powder will stick to the acrylic paint, and that's not what I wanted. So I took a LetterIt by Ranger pen, and this is a pen with embossing glue in it, and some, I think this is marigold LetterIt kind of embossing powder, and it's a very yellow gold, so quite liked the way that stood out on this page in the end. And I'm tracing through the trace paper these beautiful words that were done on the Faithful Digitals, and the artwork, as always, just is, I love it, it's exceptional. And so this is my way of getting that artwork onto my page without having to print on sticker paper or anything like that. So I traced it, and now I want to kind of frame it, because I was kind of thinking how I'm going to get this cut out if I don't have lines. So I just kind of used the left and right edges, and then connected it with a line. So again, not a perfect impression, but it is a frame around these words, or a label around these words, so that I could then cut them out and stick them onto my page. And speaking of God's generosity, it just really is exactly what it is. We so often worry about where our next meal is going to come from, when Jesus, or Father God, made all of the mountains, all of the hills, all of the trees, all of the fruit trees. I mean, if you even just consider how many bananas every year go to waste because they fall to the ground and go rotten. If our God is the God who created this, knowing that we won't possibly be able to harvest all of it and use all of it in time, don't you think that he can take care of you and your need for tomorrow? And I'm so speaking to myself here, so I'm definitely looking in the mirror and going, Rochelle, you should stop stressing, because you serve an abundantly generous, more overflowing God. I'm grabbing my Xyron sticker maker to just pull those pieces of trace paper through so that I have even glue throughout. I didn't want any glue residue to kind of show on the surface of the trace paper, likewise you would do with vellum. When you cut out embossing pieces, you need to cut just off the edge, because if you do cut on top of that melted embossed pieces, you might just chip it and it will crack, because it's like plastic onto the especially trace paper that is kind of got like a waxy layer, so it sits on top of that waxy layer. So I'm just kind of using a dauber, because I didn't have I couldn't find my bone folder, just to kind of burnish that onto make sure that none of the excess glue kind of comes off that, so that when I stick it, it doesn't have glue hanging off the side. And the Xyron sticker maker then puts a clear layer of glue on the back of your trace pieces. I did cut out the circle from one of the journaling cards, and it says, I came so that they would have life and have it abundantly. And then I wanted to kind of symbolize the 5 loaves with these 5 wheat grains, is what I will see them as. And then here comes the part where it looks like the fishes from The Chosen. And I took the 2 fish and just put them there to remind myself that it just took 5 loaves, 2 fishes, and there were so much left that they gathered baskets of it. I'm journaling in Mark 6 from verse 30 to verse 44, and this is actually one of the only miracles that is repeated in all 4 of the Gospels. I love the fact that all of them obviously knew how significant this was, to have to document it in such detail, so that we could remember that we do not serve a God of stinginess and little and barely getting by and maintaining, instead of having victory and not just survival. We have a abundant, generous, overflowingly more kind of God. He is the God that overflows, superfluous grace unto our lives and upon our lives. Thank you so much for joining me. I hope to see you again soon, and check out the other girls' videos as well. Super great. I'll see you again soon. Bye-bye.